Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. It's so good to be here. How we all doing tonight? It is a good March 29th, 2022. So hopefully the stream's coming through well. I want to quickly start off the stream with a little note saying that we do have super chats available tonight for the broadcast. So if you want to send us a welcome hi or a certain donation, you can do that through a super chat. All donations through super chats go to helping make us helping to help us make some LGBTQ education. Then also we have a lot planned for tonight, so we're going to be going through a lot. Also memberships. There's something new in memberships as of this week. We're adding a new level of memberships called LGBTQ All-Stars. So if you want to become a member of our All-Stars, you can hit the join button down below and get the 3 levels of membership there. First level, you get behind the scenes access to just pictures and to hey, this is what's going on. And you also get shout outs at the end of all of our videos and our undying gratitude. Then at our next level of Pride students, I believe they're called, you get access to behind the scenes videos and bloopers from every single episode. You get a bunch of extra perks of being listed higher and bigger in the credits of every episode. You also get priority reply to comments, and you get to see a whole bunch of behind the scenes stuff before it goes out. For instance, the members right now are hearing all about the new merchandise that's coming out soon. So yeah, that's all happening very, very soon. But the LGBTQ All-Stars are hearing all about the new merchandise line, and you also get a huge discount on all merchandise as long as you're a member. So go check that out as well. So, and you get bigger listed in the credits, just for the record. So tonight I wanted to talk about what's been going on recently, because it's been an interesting couple weeks. Basically, the show has been not filming for a couple weeks because we've been just so darn busy behind the scenes doing other projects. This is not pre-recorded. This is actually live. I love your channel. Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here. But a lot has been happening, and I wanted to talk about it because quite literally what we're talking about here is I can't believe what is happening. To be completely honest with you, it's a lot to take in right now, and I don't know how to take it in. A lot of people are looking at us and asking, well, hey, are you do you guys know what's the solution to all of this? Do you know how we can help with all of this happening right now? And I don't know if I have an answer for you as Professor Pride. I am being told that there's a comment from my boyfriend on Facebook that might help us with this, but that is in a minute. I want to actually, you know what? Let's do that first, because here's what because Michael's watching right now. Hi, Michael, if you're watching. I know you're watching somewhere out there. But Michael says, this is his note for us tonight. To all my transgender and non-binary friends, I need to share some wisdom here. These laws being passed by regressive politicians will not be the end of the world. The LGBTQ community will adapt and overcome like we always do. I grew up in the 90s, which was an era of intense homophobia. I remember when Bill Clinton signed Don't Ask, Don't Tell. I thought it was the end of the world and that my country hated me. Then every presidential debate, the inevitable question of gay marriage would come up. Democrats and Republicans had almost identical answers. Quote, marriage is between a man and a woman. It was so disgusting that these old men had a say in how my life was allowed to play out. It infuriated me. Even St. Obama began his career saying marriage was between a man and a woman. There was no real option. But then one day the Supreme Court struck down the state and federal laws, saying marriage was only between a man and a woman, opening up marriage for homosexuals. Now it's pretty much considered settled law. I'm not saying you shouldn't be angry about these new laws. You should, but that anger needs to be channeled into actions. Organization. You need to make these regressive politicians pay for their votes. Pay for their votes with their careers. Run for office. Learn to campaign for other like-minded candidates. Your generation needs to become a force to be reckoned with, like my generation and previous generations did. I know it's easy to give in to despair and wonder what you can do. If you live in if you live in one of those don't say gay states, adapt. Create social clubs outside of school that the religious fundamentalist can't control. Do something. Back in the 90s and early 2000s, our community had to contend with the Westboro Baptist Church, a hate group that made other hate groups look like a joke. They protested outside of churches where LGBTQ people were having funerals. They protested outside the Matthew Shepard's funeral. He was a victim of a horrible hate crime where he was beaten and tied to a fence to die. A passerby saw him and thought he was a scarecrow until they saw him move. Even in the face of that kind of unbridled hatred, our community started having fundraisers for LGBTQ organizations whenever those monsters would come out to protest. We called them Phelps-Sathans. Phelps-Sathans? Named after the Westboro Baptist Church founder. People would pledge money based on how many hours they protested. The longer they protested, the more it would benefit our community. Eventually, they targeted soldiers who died in war and left us alone when they realized the crap wasn't working. Use tactics. Use your superior grasp of social media to your benefit. Be smart. Just don't give in to the fear or despair. These fights can go on for decades, but eventually justice prevails. So that is Michael's words for us tonight. So huge shout out and thank you to him for those kind words. Phelpsathons. Oh, thank you. Phelpsathons. Thank you. As Michael abruptly corrects me. So, here's the thing. So, with these laws, I think there's a lot of, how should I say, there's a lot of bad information out there. So basically what happens, if you're not aware of what's happening right now in our country, I want to get to this slide here just as soon as I can figure out how to bring it up. Export for screens, where does it go? It goes into document. What? Okay. Documents. Oh, okay, that's where it goes. Gotcha. So, oh, 1 second here. Sorry, this is live, so it's not edited, and it's very nerve-wracking. So, all right, here we go. Here's our screen. What we need to show: computer screen and camera. All right, so this is from the Pennsylvania Equality Project. What you're seeing on your screen right now, all of the states that are in red in the United States, all of the red states have proposed anti-LGBTQ legislation this year so far. In total, this year, in 3 months, less than 3 months, because it's only March, 238 bills in 38 states have been proposed to the state legislator in all of these states listed here. Alabama, 6, Alaska, 3, Arizona, 17, Delaware, 1, Florida, 12, Georgia, 6. All of these states at the bottom of your screen, that's how, if your state is listed there, that's how many anti-LGBTQ bills have been proposed to your state House and Senate this year alone. That is ridiculous. I'm going to go back to this for just a second. Where's our... there we go. So that's the number of states, right? Which is already ridiculous on its own merit, right? Then this is another wonderful chart that we go to all the time. This is the number of anti-LGBTQ state bills that have been proposed in the years past. So on this chart, I'll zoom in here really quickly so you can actually see it. The gray color is anti-LGBTQ bills not intended specifically for transgender individuals. The orange is bills that have been introduced specifically against transgender people. So in 2018, there was like 48 bills total, and maybe like 10 or 12 of them were against LGBT people. In general, 2019, you're probably looking at about 20 bills against LGBT people and 55 or so bills against transgender people. You're looking at 2020, that rises to almost 150. 2021, it rises to almost 200. All last year in 2021, almost 200 bills were introduced into state legislature against LGBT people. And most of them, over 150 of them, were proposed specifically against transgender people. In 2021, it's only 3 months in, by the way, we're already at a total of 238, I believe. That is ridiculous. So the question becomes, why is this happening? Why is there this war against LGBT people all of a sudden? I think that's for two reasons. First off, we have to look at where they're coming from. So these bills are coming from hate groups like Focus on the Family, Family Research Council, and 1 Million Moms. All of these groups are funding what is happening right now. And so basically what these hate groups do is they have their lawyers, because keep in mind, they make I think Focus on the Family brings in like $81 million a year or some of that. It's insane levels of income they bring in. So they bring in all this revenue. They have lawyers on their staff that write these bills. They quite legitimately write the bills themselves, and then they send it to their legislator. And they say, we'd like this bill introduced into the House or the Senate. And so because of the campaign contributions these hate groups make to these politicians, like Ron DeSantis, like so on and so forth, because of the campaign contributions these hate groups make to these people for their next re-election, they say, all right, fine, I'll introduce your bill as long as you keep giving me money for my re-election campaigns next year, you know? And so they introduce this bill as if they wrote it themselves. And the reason why we know these bills are written by the hate groups and not these individual senators or representatives is because they are identical across the states. They are identical of what they are proposing. So, for instance, there's laws in the Don't Say Gay bill was introduced in Florida, and it's the same exact wording as the one that was introduced at the same exact time in Tennessee. You know, so they wouldn't word them perfectly identical if it weren't written by someone else that had both of them controlled like puppets. So they also word this in a way to how should I say, be even more homophobic than what they are presented. Oh, Michael, thank you. Thank you, Michael. You don't have to, I mean, literally. That $1.49 is coming right back to you. You know that, right? Like, the next date we go on. But thank you, Michael. I know I know it might sound bleak in the way I'm saying all of this, but there is an end to it. There is solutions. There are solutions to it. So just bear with me for a moment as we explain all this. Basically, what happens is they propose these laws and these bills into legislation, and they say, "Please go and do this." Not realizing, the hurt it may cause, because these hate groups don't really have a value on people's lives. These hate groups, like Focus on the Family, regularly push kids to suicide and teach them how to commit suicide, so they don't really care how people are affected by this. What they care about is that their religious beliefs are held in the government, which is not in the spirit of the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence. So, basically, these church groups and these hate groups are writing the bills that are eventually passed in these states. Just because a bill is in one of these states doesn't mean it becomes law in one of the states. Keep that in mind as well. So it's not necessarily set in stone yet. But the fact that this is on the rise is concerning. And it's because these hate groups have a lot of money to go around with. And so they're able to, bribe certain politicians. They're able to contribute to certain campaigns to say, you know what, Governor Ron DeSantis, if you want money for your re-election campaign, then you should probably vote yes to this. They do these kind of things with ample money because they have ample money behind them. They have a lot more money than we do. They have a lot more money than any LGBTQ group has. What they don't have is the law on their side. So, groups like ACLU, Lambda Legal, and so on, and HRC, they come in and they say, you know what? These laws need to be challenged in court because they're unconstitutional and they restrict the rights of every American. So they challenge them in the courts, and eventually these bills and these laws will probably fail, but they don't care. In the meantime, they're hurting people, These politicians don't care because in the meantime, they're hurting kids. So, but KWMG Nation says, "Hey Matt, how are you? Nice shirt. Where did you get it?" This shirt is coming to the PBR merchandise store very, very soon. We're hoping May 1st we launch our new merchandise. So before May 1st, all of the merchandise on our store, almost all of it, is going away as of May 1st, and then this new merchandise is going to come on this store. So you're going to see a bunch of things. Yeah, you're going to see, well, actually, you might already see this one, Nuts for Power Rainbows. For Mr. Nutter Butters has his own merchandise now, so that's pretty cute. Then we also have, for all of the organizations, schools, companies, businesses, little shops, whatever you have, this is another sticker we have coming to the store. LGBTQ Safe Zone from Power Rainbows. So you can label your store with a, it's not really seen great here, it's a Progress Pride flag with all of the trans and BLM colors here. So this is coming to the PBR store very, very shortly. So you can pick up one of these little stickers, and it's 3 by 5 inches, I believe. There's different sizes of these, by the way. But you can pick that up and you can put it on your store. We also have, what else do we have coming? There's mugs that are coming tomorrow. Literally, we're seeing the proofs of those come in tomorrow. This new shirt, Color So Proud They Overflow. This is coming to the store very, very soon. Then we have a new book, LGBTQ Friendly Classroom. This wonderful book is coming very, very soon to the stores. We have a bunch. We have a bunch of things coming out, and I cannot wait for y'all to see it. So our designers have been gruelingly working behind the scenes, making sure that our designs this year for Pride season are amazing. So if you haven't already picked up something on the PBR store that you want, I would pick it up now before May 1st because it expires May 1st. The new merchandise is coming May 1st. So we have a lot more a lot more cool stuff on the way. But with all of that said, I mean, so getting back to the topic, there's so much confusion as to what happens with these bills because they are worded very purposefully. And it's very subtle how they're worded this way. But for instance, there's this law in Florida now that Governor Ron DeSantis just signed yesterday, which means it goes into the court system, the judicial branch. It passed the state House and Senate, and it passed the governor, which means it goes to the courts of Florida to make sure it's legal before it goes out and it's already a law. But this bill that was just passed in Florida, people are very confused because you'll hear people call it the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida. And typically what a Don't Say Gay bill is a law that says, well, you can't teach kids about LGBT people at all. You can't say the word gay in schools. And people take it very literally. Nationally, you'll see Fox News and Tucker Carlson, all these people going, well, technically the law that was passed doesn't say the word gay at all in the actual text. And you're, And so you see these Tucker Carlsons of the world going, but the word gay doesn't appear in the text at all. So technically it's not a Don't Say Gay bill. Okay, hold on. Yes, it is. Because a Don't Say Gay bill says that you can't teach LGBTQ education to kids in school at any age. And so because they're like, oh no, the word gay doesn't appear, it doesn't mean anything. It quite literally is the Republicans' answer to, are you homophobic? And they're like, but we didn't say that. Like, no, come on, you're homophobic, you know? You can still have a homophobic bill without saying the word gay. And I'll prove that to you. Because as all these places claim, okay, so it doesn't say the word gay in it. And there's a lot of Republicans out there who say, well, all it does is restrict education for grades kindergarten through 3rd grade, period. And it does say the words K through 3rd grade in the actual text. Okay. But the way they worded it, as you're about to hear, was not needed and purposeful in how it was worded this way. So the text reads and says, well, we shouldn't be, and this is for a reason, so keep this in mind. The text reads, well, we shouldn't be teaching sexual education to kindergartners through 3rd grade students. And so the question immediately pops up, wait, they were trying to do that before, and now we need to restrict them from doing that? This is to the Republicans' benefit here, because then in all of their press conferences and questions they get asked later on it, they can say, you know what, all we were trying to do is prevent kindergartners from getting a sexual education course in their school. And I mean, here's the thing. No one was trying to do that prior to this. No one was advocating, not one major politician, not one major LGBTQ activist was advocating for literally sex education in kindergarten class. No one was advocating for that. But these hate groups and the Republicans who submitted this to the House and Senate were able to say, we're saying in the text that we should not have sex education for kindergartners. And it's worded that way, not because someone was trying to do it before and we need to stop them. It was worded that way to make you believe someone was trying to do this before. Because if they can make you believe LGBTQ people were trying to force sex education on kindergartners, they pretty much have your support for this bill. Because who wants their kindergarten student to be forced to learn about sex education? No one is advocating for that, and no one wants that. So if they can make you feel like LGBT people are trying to do that, well then, they win your vote, and they won you over. And now, you feel like LGBT people have been trying to do this all along. No, we haven't. The bill just says that we need to stop this, even though it was never done before. The second thing it does is on the news, they're able to say, you know what? We shouldn't have sex education for kindergartners. And that's all this bill is trying to do. That's all it's trying to do. And they focus on literally one line of the text in this 7-page document. One line. K through 3rd grade. As if the rest of the bill doesn't exist. And so on the news, and all these politicians are able to come out and say, you know what? That's all we're trying to do. K through 3rd grade. K through 3rd grade. And I've heard this hundreds, if not thousands of times in the past couple days here. K through 3rd grade. That's all it's trying to restrict, Matt. No, it's not. Read the text for yourself. So, what we're going to do is read the text for ourselves. So, let's go to this camera and computer here. This is the actual piece of legislation that was passed by the House, the Senate, and just yesterday by Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. This is the actual text. An act relating to parental rights and education. That's the first line. The reason why they start this bill with relating to parental rights and education is because they want parents to vote for this. They're not looking to win over LGBT people with this. They're not looking for LGBTQ votes on this. They're looking for parents. Parents. And anyone who says, well, they don't like this bill, they're able to immediately come back and say, well, you're just against parents having rights over their own children's education. You're just against this. You're just against parents' rights. Every argument against this is immediately shut down because they started it out with relating to parental rights and education. Again, every word in this is very purposefully written this way. And so I can fight you on every other line of this text. It does not matter to these Republicans who say the first line, well, it's about parental rights. And parents should have rights to their own kids' education. Just as a side note here, they already don't have the rights to the education of their children. Schools, there's a reason why schools exist, is because you send your children to a school to get taught by someone the government trusts. And that's the way things are run. That's the way things happen. Otherwise, you would homeschool your children, and even if you homeschool your children, your child still has to go into the school for testing on a regular basis. So even that doesn't prevent them from, these parents from not having rights. Literally, parents don't currently have a huge right over their own children's education. The government does. If you want that change to happen as a parent, you have to run for office yourself as a parent and make that change. But not every parent is going to be in an office, in a position where they can do that. So they trust the government to educate their children. Now, how good of an education that is, that's completely separate. But parents already don't have the right over their own children's education for a reason. Because, you know, there are homophobic parents out there. There are horrible parents out there who will not teach their children what they need to learn later in life. There are some parents who think that, well, our kids don't need to be taught about the Holocaust. Legitimately, that's a thing. There are some Nazi parents out there who think that we need to, neo-Nazi parents who think we need to teach that a certain race or religion is wrong. There are some people out there who believe that. So giving them the rights over their own children's education might be a little bit dangerous in that respect. That's why the government as a whole has the right to your children's education. So, an act relating to parental rights in education. Amending certain bill there, requiring district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with certain provisions of law for notifying a student's parent of specified information, requiring such procedures to reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children in a specified manner, prohibiting the procedures from prohibiting a parent from accessing certain records, providing construction, prohibiting a school district from adopting procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying a parent about specified information or that encourage or have the effect of encouraging a student to withhold from a parent such information, prohibiting school district personnel from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decision affecting a student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being, providing construction. If you're not noticing by now, first off, the people that wrote this have never gone through an English course to know what a period and a new sentence are, because this is one extremely long run-on sentence that takes up the entire page. But secondly, in here is hidden a lot in this text. So, basically what this bill does is it requires such procedures to reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children in a specified manner. So the question becomes, what specified manner? Because that's never mentioned in the rest of this bill. Giving the parents 100% control of their children's education. Prohibiting procedures from prohibiting a parent from accessing certain records. In other words, parents would always be given access to anything that they so choose, which, okay, fine, let them access anything. That's one line I'm not entirely against in this bill, because parents should be able to access whatever their children are accessing or whatever their children are being taught. Great, cool. And therein lies a small issue. They word things in here to make it so vague that anyone would be horrible, or at least viewed as horrible, to say, no, I don't want this. That line in there is, again, carefully worded to say, you know what? Parents deserve the right to look at anything that their children are forced to be educated on. Who would possibly say something bad about that? A parent being denied access to their kid's education? How dare you say that? But again, it's put in there for a reason, so that these Republicans and news stations can come back to that line and say, you know what? Oh, you're fighting this bill. Why would you fight this? Obviously, this is something we need, because these lines give them a scapegoat of, no matter what part of this bill that you're arguing, how could you possibly argue that parents should be prohibited from the procedures that their children's records? Oh my God! Like it is purposely worded for a reason. Prohibiting school district from adopting procedures. All right, so this one's pretty important. Prohibiting a school district from adopting procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying a parent about specified information or that encourage or have the effect of encouraging a student to withhold from a parent such information. That's a deeply long run-on sentence, but it basically says you're not allowed to prohibit, you're not allowed to have a school district prohibit Student support forms, which could be labeled as a GSA club, by the way. So parents have the control whether or not there's a GSA club in the school, even though it is federal law, superseding state law, a federal law that you are allowed to have a GSA club in your school, but that encourage or have the effect of encouraging. It's so vague. It's literally that encourage or have an effect of encouraging. Wow, is this very, very vague. Prohibiting school district personnel from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decisions affecting a student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being. Literally, it means a parent has the right to say that their child will be given this information, but not that information. Because a parent could always say that that talking about gay people affects the student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being. It doesn't say negatively in affecting, by the way. It says affecting in general. So let's say you're a homophobic parent of a gay child. Literally, this line 20 of this bill, says if you don't want, as a parent, if you as a homophobic parent don't want your children to learn about gay people, even though they might be gay, you can sue the school district. You can have that teacher arrested because of this line, because it is actually affecting, not negatively infecting, which, by the way, is again done on purpose for the court system later. It's not a question for the judge or the jury to determine whether it negatively affected the student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being. It literally says affecting at all. Negatively, positively, doesn't matter. Neutral even. It means anything. Anything that could affect a student's mental, emotional, or physical well-being is included in this line. Providing construction means it can't talk positively about these things. Prohibiting classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels, which that right there, I'm going to stop right there, is what a lot of people are pointing to. It is prohibiting classroom instruction of sexual orientation or gender identity in K through 3rd grade students. That is what they're going to point to. This line right here is what they're going to point to and say, oh my God, it only prohibits talking about gay people and, quite literally, sexual orientation. Sorry, backtrack a second. Sexual orientation covers straight people too. And that's another scapegoat these Republicans have right now is, we didn't tell schools they couldn't talk about gay people. We said sexual orientation, which also means straight people. So that's their scapegoat to say, we told classrooms that they weren't allowed to talk about sexual orientation, straight or gay people, or gender identity, meaning cisgender or transgender people, in certain grade levels. And that is what a lot of people point to of, it only says K through 3rd grade. It only says K through 3rd grade in certain grade levels, in certain grade. I've heard that so many times this week. But there's a huge thing right after that, and it's the word or. That little word or means a lot in a piece of legislation, because it said in certain grade levels or in a specified manner. But they never specify which manner. So quite literally, the text of this bill says K through 3rd grade in certain grade levels, but doesn't limit that power to those certain grade levels because it says or in a specified manner. And they never specify which manner, so quite literally, this could be taken to any grade level and said, well, it's in the specified manner. Literally, those words, or in a specified manner, mean this applies to every single grade level, not limited to K through 3rd grade. And a lot of people will point to this and not read the second half of that sentence. Again, it's done on purpose to confuse people. Requiring certain training developed or provided by a school district to adhere to standards established by the Department of Education. Again, which Department of Education? Never says state or federal Department of Education. Prohibiting requiring schools districts to notify, and this bill also, requires school districts to notify parents of healthcare services and provide parents the opportunity to consent or decline such services. What that means right there is basically, if you're a trans person in Florida and you go to the school nurse and you want to be given, I don't know, a tampon, or if you want to be given certain help for your gender identity, that school now has to provide your parents with the opportunity to consent or decline those services without the student's permission. This quite literally could out LGBTQ people across the state of Florida to their parents if they go to a school nurse. And if you have homophobic or transphobic parents, they could decide to consent or decline that service. It's ridiculous. And again, they will point to the fact that, well, parents should have a right over their student, of their children's education and their children's services. They should have a right over this. No, not always. Not always. Because some of them are homophobic and transphobic that will kick that child out of their home for being gay or trans. So it is very frustrating how this is worded so far. Next up, providing that a specified parental consent does not waive certain parental rights. Requiring, basically just parents are parents almost, I'm guessing. Requiring school districts to provide parents with certain questionnaires or health screening forms and obtain parental permission before administering such questionnaires and forms. In other words, if a school wants to ask its students some questions, they have to put that before the parents to approve of that or not. Rather than saying, you know what, maybe some of these kids are gay, and we want to know how many of them are gay, so that we know how many people we're actually helping, and who we're helping. Well, before they do that, they have to approve that by the school, by the parents. And so quite literally, under this new piece of legislation, because it's not specified what questionnaires or health screening forms are, quite literally it means the parent gets to decide what quizzes, tests, questionnaires the student gets to see, let alone take. And so if you have a parent out there who says, you know what, my little Billy didn't study for his quiz today, I don't consent to him taking that quiz. Well, suddenly Billy has an advantage over all of the other students in his class because he doesn't have to take that test legally. There is no specification here as to questionnaires about what, or health screenings about what. There's just certain questionnaires or health screening forms. Period. That's it. So it's very, very broad, and it's done on purpose. And it's worded in a way to say, you know what, if you're against parents having the right to what their children see, then you're a horrible person. Well, I mean, there's a part of me that understands that, but also a part of me that goes, there's a lot of parents that are going to take full advantage of this. Let alone the homophobic and transphobic parents who are going to say, I don't want my son or daughter or my child to learn anything about LGBT people. So no, they're not allowed to even see that questionnaire. Not even that little question on your questionnaire that says, are you a boy, a girl, or are you non-binary, or are you age, gender? I don't want them to see that. All I want them to see is boy or girl, because that's the only two options that my freaking small little freaking brain can comprehend. So transphobic parents can literally say what is on that form and what their children see. And how the hell is this a thing that's being put into law? It is scary. And again, you're not limiting it to K through third grade people, you're just saying in general. To all grades, requiring school districts to adopt certain procedures for resolving specified parental concerns. In other words, schools have to adopt a certain way for resolving these parental concerns with probably the State Department of Education. In other words, a school cannot just come in and say, we're going to do what we want, and we're going to teach your kids what they need to learn, and this whole law isn't going to apply to us because we're not going to give parents a process to oversee this or resolve bad situations. So it says schools have to, in other words, by next school year, put policies in place that allow parents to sue themselves, sue the school. Requiring resolution within a specified time frame. Again, very broad. What time frame? Requiring the Commissioner of Education to appoint a special magistrate for unresolved concerns. In other words, it's requiring the government to come up with a special person that deals with parents who want to sue their own school districts for breaking this new law. So that's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money on top of what it's already costing. Providing requirements for the special magistrate. So there's going to be special rules that they have to follow. Requiring the State Board of Education to approve or reject the special magistrate's recommendation within specified time frame. In other words, the state has to approve or reject whatever that magistrate decides on with every case that they have on their plate. So the question becomes, why do you have a special magistrate in every school district if you're going to put everything before the state education board anyway? You know, what is the sense in doing all that other than wasting a bunch of taxpayer money on local level people? Requiring school districts to bear the cost of the special magistrate. So every school district has to have one of these and somehow has to have it in next year's budget, even though everything that magistrate does is something that the state has to approve or deny. So they are useless, in other words, but school districts have to have them by next year. Requiring the State Board of Education to adopt rules, providing requirements for such rules, authorizing a parent to bring an action against a school district to obtain a declaratory judgment that a school district procedure or practice violates certain provisions of the law. In other words, it's saying that every school district has to have a magistrate, guy, girl, or person to oversee this at a school district level, even though they aren't allowed to make any decisions on their own. But they have to have them, and they have to have them paid for by that school district. But this bill is authorizing any parent in that school district to bring any action against the school district, including suing them and so on and so forth, against a school district to obtain a judgment that a school district procedure or practice violates certain provisions of the law. So, in other words, it's authorizing any parent to sue the school district if the school doesn't adhere to these rules. Providing the additional award of injunctive relief, damages, and reasonable attorney fees and court costs to certain parents. In other words, if you sue the school district and turns out, actually it doesn't even say that. Wow, that's even more broad. If you, as a parent, sue the school district for supposedly breaking one of these laws, you can be awarded not just the amount that you sued for, but also the amount of injunctive relief, damages, and reasonable attorney fees. So if you hire an attorney, if you as a parent hire an attorney to go after your school district, you can go to your magistrate in your local school district, sue them, and then all of your attorney fees, that are reasonable at least, and the damages and everything like that, can be paid to you as a parent. In other words, if you even think a teacher said the word gay, said about LGBT people at all, or said straight even, you can sue the school district and be awarded damages, reliefs, and reasonable attorney fees. That's very dangerous. I'll give you an example of why. For instance, there was a school district not too far from where I live now with Michael that ended up where these parents thought their children were learning about black people in general, that black people existed, that a different race other than white existed. And they said in court that their children learning about black people existing went against their religious beliefs somehow, and they were awarded money for this and attorney fees. The school district settled this case out of court and said, here's a bunch of money, like I think it was like $45,000 or $50,000 they were awarded, just because their children were taught that black people existed in this country. That is what we're talking about here. Parents can sue the school district for thousands upon thousands of dollars if they don't agree with how their children are being taught in the school. Okay? And court cost to certain parents. Requiring a school district to adopt policies to notify parents of certain rights. In other words, when you adopt this magistrate and you pay for this magistrate to happen, you have to notify all the parents at your school district that they are allowed to sue your school district if they don't agree with how their children are being taught in school. At all. Providing construction. Requiring the department to review and update as necessary specified materials by certain date, providing an effective date. I mean, first off, this is the first period I'm seeing this in this entire document, by the way. That is insane that we have to wait for page 3 to get to this part of our first end of the sentence. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So, if you don't, like, for an example's sake, if your teacher is gay and has a partner, and you see every other teacher in your school has a wife or a husband, and you ask your teacher, hey, do you have a wife? And they say back to you, no, I have a husband. That's considered gay education. There's no specified way of this. There's nothing that says, this is allowed, this isn't. So teachers don't know what to do right now. Quite literally, they don't know what to do. I'm just going to check the stream really quick here. You're all commenting away. But I just want to make sure the stream was working correctly. But there's no specification as to this is what works, this is what doesn't, and this is what's allowed, this is what's not allowed, right? There's nothing that says that. So quite literally, you can have a student ask, did George Washington have a wife? And that would be against the rules as of this bill right now. You can ask the question of, let's see, what's his name? Elagabalus, or any historical figure, right? You can say, back in Egyptian times, how, I'm seeing all your comments, you can ask any question you want about anything in history. A great example of this, right? You can be in a class about the Holocaust, and you can be taught, well, in the Holocaust, they had certain symbols that the Nazis used to put on prisoners of war in order to label them for what they were, and in order to distinguish all of their prisoners apart from each other, because they had millions of them. And you can be taught all the symbols of what they all mean. For instance, a yellow star means you're Jewish. Okay, cool. I mean, the Holocaust isn't cool, I just want to clarify that, but you can be taught what these symbols mean. And then you can get to a picture in your slideshow on your projector, and it can show some people with a pink triangle on their shirt. And your student could ask you, hey teacher, we learned what the yellow star meant, that you're Jewish, but what does the pink triangle on their shirt mean? What does that symbol mean? And quite literally, as a teacher, according to this law, you're not allowed to say. You're not allowed to say a pink triangle means you were gay, because that might mentally, emotionally, or whatever affect a child into thinking this is normal. Hey, gay people existed back in the Holocaust. You know, you're not allowed to say what that pink triangle means. You're not allowed to say, according to this bill, because it is so broad. Okay? And people are pointing this like it is insane. So let's go through the rest of this really quick. By it enacted by the legislature of the state of Florida, Section 1, Paragraph C, is added to subsection 8 of section whatever. Powers and duties of district school board. The district school board, acting as a board, shall exercise all powers and perform all duties listed below. Student welfare. In accordance with the rights of parents enumerated in SS 100 whatever, adopt procedures for notifying a student parents if there is a change in the student's services or monitoring related to the student's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being, and the school's ability to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for the student. The procedures must reinforce the fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding the upbringing and control of their children by requiring school districts personnel to encourage a student to discuss issues relating to his or her well-being with his or her parent, or facilitate discussion of the issue with the parent. In other words, if the student has different feelings than a straight person, and they go to the school, yes, the pink triangle was used by Nazi concentration camps to signify gay prisoners, by the way. Yeah. But if a student starts asking questions about gay people, then the school district, by this new law, has to say, you know what, we're not allowed to talk about this. You, as a student, have to talk to your parents about this, about the fact that gay people exist. You have to talk to your parents about that, because we're not allowed to talk to you about that. And if you want, we can facilitate that conversation. You can have that conversation in the school with me present, but I'm not allowed to say anything. So in other words, if you have a homophobic parent, this teacher cannot intervene and help you, because they're legally not able to say anything regarding sexual orientation or gender identity at all. Straight, gay doesn't matter. Cisgender, transgender doesn't matter. They're not allowed to say a word. So literally it's go ask your mom, even though your mom might be homophobic. The procedures may not prohibit parents from accessing any of their students' education and health records created, maintained, or used by the school district as required by this statute. In other words, if you go to your school nurse and you say, hey, I think I might be gay, or if you say to them, hey, I think I might be transgender, can I have some help with that? If they write that down in a note anywhere, your parent, as homophobic and transphobic as they might be, can access that document, can access your health records created by your school, and it literally can out you as LGBTQ. So this is encouraging every LGBTQ student to stay silent. That right there is why this is called a Don't Say Gay law. It's not because it stops teachers alone from talking about gay people existing. It stops students from realizing they are gay, trans, etc. And it stops them from talking about it. It stops them from coming out, which is just a disgrace. We're only on page 4 of this, by the way, out of the 7. A school district may not adapt procedures or student support forms that prohibit school district personnel from notifying a parent. This is just, again, the same thing. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3. This is where that line comes from, right here. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties, for instance, Powered by Rainbow's LGBT education platforms, third parties cannot instruct sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through grade 3. That is what a lot of people are pointing to right now. This line, line 98 and 99, that is what they're pointing to. But again, something very important here is this next word, or. It has a lot of meaning here. Or in a manner that is not age appropriate, which means any age. That means, quite literally, pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, and even college. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate. Who determines what is age appropriate for a 4th grader, a 5th grader, a 6th grader? Who determines that? Oh wait, this entire thing is called the parental rights over their children's education, right? And so in other words, every parent gets to decide what is age appropriate for their individual child. Let me just point this out. Currently, there are 2,833,115 kids in Florida schools. So quite literally, you can have 2.8 million different opinions on what is age appropriate for children. And that is affected by this one line in this bill. So you're not allowed to teach anything about sexual orientation or gender identity at all in kindergarten through 3rd grade, but in 4th grade through 12th grade, the parents get to individually decide whether it's appropriate for their children. Or, again, another huge or here, developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Who determines what's a state standard? That is not specified here. No state standard is specified here. So, in other words, you're not allowed to talk about gay people or trans people in K through 12 K through 3rd grade at all. You're not allowed to talk about it in 4th grade through 12th grade if the parents say, hey, we don't want that. And you're not allowed to talk about it because it's developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. And because they're not specifying which standards they're talking about, quite literally, any parent can say, well, that's not in accordance with this standard over here. Anything. You cannot say anything about LGBT people in any grade at all. 12 LB Bluefish says, show proof parents choose what is age appropriate. I mean, that's literally what I'm doing. It's right there in the text of, or in a manner that is not age appropriate. Literally what the text says. So quite literally, this is so vague on purpose. But thank you for the donation, by the way. This is so vague on purpose. I mean, here's the thing. The proof in that is the fact that it's not specified. Right? So, because it doesn't specify what it would do here, okay? Let me just explain this, because this could be controversial, okay? If the state wanted to say, well, in 4th grade, you can tell kids that gay people exist. In 5th grade, you can talk to them about how gay couples can get married. In 9th grade, you can give them a little bit of sex education. And you can say, you know, a penis doesn't have to enter a vagina. You could also have anal sex with a boy. If the state said, well, in 12th grade, you can finally tell students that, you know, they can be gay. And it's perfectly okay. If the state really did want things to be specified as age appropriate, if they wanted it to be state appropriate, if they wanted to specify what is in a manner that is not age appropriate, they would have specified it here of what is age appropriate. By not specifying anything about what is age appropriate, you're leaving that up to wide interpretation. And keep in mind, in the previous pages, you just said in this same law that parents will be notified that they can sue the school district if they don't agree with things. And the magistrate has to be accepting of their things, and has to pay all the attorney fees for them to go and do this. And the state gets to determine if the school broke the rules on this. But because they're not specifying what the rules are, the parents are the ones that get to specify the rules here. And because this entire law is all about parental rights and saying parents should have the right over their children's education, right? That's what it says up here. An act relating to parental rights in education. You're saying parents are the ones who get to determine everything from here on out in this law. Everything for the next 7 pages, that's what parents get to decide. Because you're literally saying that, the parents are the ones that get to determine what is and what is not age appropriate for their children on an individual basis. It's as vague can be. And even if the parents aren't able to decide what is age appropriate for their children, they are able to determine it's developmentally whether it's developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So hopefully that answers your question. I know I got a little bit mad and a little bit off track. Student support services training developed or provided by a school district to school district personnel must adhere to student services guidelines, standards, and frameworks established by the Department of Education. In other words, our new course, LGBTQ friendly classroom, may not be appropriate, according to this, to teachers. If you're going to have training for your school district or school district personnel, meaning teachers, administrators, anyone, all of that training must adhere to this new law. So in other words, the parents get to decide if they want their teachers to learn how to be LGBTQ friendly. And if they don't, the Department of Education will. At the beginning of the school year, each school district shall notify parents of each healthcare service offered at their student's school, and the option to withhold consent or decline any specific service. Parental consent to a healthcare service does not waive the parent's right to access his or her student's educational or health records, or to be notified about a change in his or her student's services or monitoring as provided by this paragraph. In other words, at the beginning of the school year, the school district has to notify parents of all of the possible healthcare services their school offers, including LGBTQ services. The parent then gets to decide whether or not they want their child to receive these services, and basically gets to check mark all of the services they want their child to be given. For instance, if my child breaks a bone in school at recess, yeah, I want them to be given healthcare access to help them with that until an ambulance can arrive or something. If my child goes into a heart attack, I want the school to call an ambulance. Yeah, certainly, check mark that box. But quite literally, this goes down to the very fine print of, if I don't want my child to get a binder because they're transgender, or testosterone, or any kind of help, or even information about help that schools can normally provide students, I have to approve of that first as a parent. And even if the health needs of my child changes, for instance, they come out as transgender in school, but they haven't come out yet to me as a parent because at home it's not too friendly, it means these students cannot get that help until the parents approve of it. The school has to notify the parents that, hey, a change was made and your child needs different health services now. So the parent gets to decide whether or not they want their child to receive that. In other words, these parents are being able, by this paragraph, to decide whether or not they really have a trans child. Quite literally. So, next paragraph. By administering a student well-being questionnaire or health screening form to a student in kindergarten through grade 3, the school district must provide the questionnaire or health screening form to the parent and obtain the parent permission first. If you're going to give your students a questionnaire or health screening form, the parents need to approve of that form before you send it out to your students. Again, this all has to do with questionnaires and forms nowadays, including LGBTQ people. For instance, your questionnaire might be, do you feel like you're a boy, girl, non-binary, NB, agender, it might say male, female, or other. Quite literally, if your form that you're sending out says male, female, or other as options, your parents, now in Florida, get to decide whether or not other should even be there. Because in their opinions, maybe there's only 2 genders. Even though they're clearly wrong on that. But they get to decide what is on that questionnaire. Entirely, on every question. It is insane. And also, keep in mind, in other states, like Pennsylvania right now, parents can apparently sue the school district for even mentioning that black people exist. So, it's very vague in how it's being worded here, on purpose. In other words, it's opening schools up to just hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars in lawsuits over the next year. I would not be a bit surprised to see every school district across Florida going entirely bankrupt in the next year because of this, because they're giving out so many millions of dollars to parents over these lawsuits. It's quite crazy. Each school district shall adopt procedures for a parent to notify the principal or his or her designee regarding concerns under this paragraph at his or her student's school. And the process for resolving those concerns within 7 calendar days after notification by the parent. So the parent has to notify the school that they're going to sue them within 7 days. Also, I love how this is worded of his or her designee instead of his, her, or their designee, because this bill, to its core, is worded in a way of being horribly transphobic of, there's only 2. That's the only 2 options. His or her. It's worded this way, again, on purpose. And it's worded this way by a fucking hate group. So just keep all that in mind. At minimum, the procedures must require that within 30 days after notification by a parent that the concern remains unresolved, the school district must either resolve the concern or provide a statement of the reasons for not resolving the concern. In other words, if you're a parent and you think that they talked about gay people in class, you bring that up to your school district magistrate, and the school has 7 to 30 days to respond to that notification. But that doesn't mean that you just go on, because remember, you already said in this law that parents have the right to sue, so I just need to let you know within 30 days that I'm going to sue you. That's all it's doing. And even if, and like there's no specification here as to if the school district provides a statement of the reasons it's not resolving this concern, there's no specification in here as to, well, if I provide you with a statement that says, we didn't do what you're saying we did, or here's the reason why we did that, and it's not as bad as you think, it doesn't say that you still can't sue us. It says, we provided you a statement for reasons within 30 days, but it never says, if we provide you with a statement that explains everything away, It never says you can't still sue us as a school district. So keep that in mind. If a concern is not resolved by the school district, a parent may, number 1, request the Commissioner of Education to appoint a special magistrate who is a member of the Florida Bar in good standing and who has at least 5 years' experience in administrative law. The special magistrate shall determine facts relating to the dispute over the school district procedure or practice, consider information provided by the school district, and render a recommendation decision for resolution to the State Board of Education within 30 days after receipt of the request by the parent. The State Board of Education must approve or reject the recommendation decision at its next regularly scheduled meeting. That is more than 7 calendar days and no more than 30 days after the date the recommended decision is transmitted. The cost of the special magistrate shall be borne by the school district. The State Board of Education shall adopt rules, including forms necessary to implement this subparagraph. In other words, your school district has to hire a commissioner from the has to hire a magistrate, which is a member of the Florida Bar that has years of experience, right? And that person has to figure out this dispute. So if you have a complaint, if you think a teacher told your son or daughter or whoever, told your child about gay people existing, well, you have to be provided forms by the school district to request from the Commissioner of Education that they appoint a special magistrate for your project, and your school district has to pay for it. You don't have to pay for it. The school district has to pay for it. So, quite literally, suing the school district has zero cost to you as a parent. It's basically making it where it's free to sue the school district, and then you're just awarded a bunch of money from damages and attorney fees. So, it's not going to prevent anyone from going to the Department of Education and suing them. No one's going to feel restricted on this and suing the hell out of their school district for anything they want. Number 2, a parent can also bring an action against the school district to obtain a declaratory judgment that the school district procedure or practice violates this paragraph and seeks injunctive relief. A court, in other words, you're allowed to sue your school district separately from going. So, in layman's terms here, you're able to go to the Board of Education to resolve this issue, but you're also, in number 2, allowed to just sue them directly. Sue your school district directly for this. A court may award damages and shall award reasonable attorney fees and court costs to a parent who receives declaratory or injunctive relief. So, if the court rules that you're right, that this teacher talked about gay people, well, you got damages now, and you're awarded hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, congratulations, you sued your school district, and now your taxes are going to go up. Each school district, by the way, what was that all about? We go from 1 and 2 to C. Okay, this is another thing, right? So, each school district shall adopt policies to notify parents of the procedures required under this subparagraph. So, you have to, as a school district, notify your parents of every child or guardians that they are allowed to sue your school for thousands of dollars at the school district expense if they even mention LGBT people exist in any grade, not just K through 12, K through 3, at any age. Nothing contained in this subparagraph shall be construed to abridge or alter rights of action or remedies in equity already existing under the common law or general law. By June 30th, 2023, the Department of Education shall review and update as necessary school counseling frameworks and standards, educator practices and professional conduct principles, and any other student services personnel guidelines, standards, or frameworks in accordance with the requirement of this act. This is a huge one, okay? So by June of next year, the Department of Education in Florida has to completely educate all educators, all school counselors, all professionals, all principals, all administrators, all teachers of how this all works. They have to review and update how school counseling frameworks work. So school counselors can no longer talk about LGBT people at all anymore. Educator practices, so teachers aren't allowed to talk about it either. Professional conduct principles, so your school administrators aren't allowed to talk about it either. And any other student services personnel guidelines. So your custodian at your school isn't even allowed to exist as a gay person. Not allowed, your school custodian that's cleaning the toilets in your school is not even allowed to mention the word gay, trans, or any of this. Otherwise, it's all the same to this law. And your parents can sue for millions of dollars. Any other student services personnel guidelines, standards, or frameworks in accordance with the requirements of this act. This shall take effect July 1st, 2022. So in other words, next school year is going to be hell for all of the students and the schools. Because you're right, the schools cannot fucking afford this. Okay? So let's go back to this. Who does this help? It helps deeply homophobic hate groups who think that their religion is more important than anyone else's and who want to push kids to suicide. Because Trevor Project reports that the number of calls they've received from Florida kids has risen in the past couple days. And Trevor Project is the nation's leading LGBTQ crisis intervention hotline. So it helps the hate groups push kids to suicide. That's what it does. Let's be honest. That's what they want. These legislators don't care enough about kids' lives to stop this. They didn't listen. One of the major pieces of hope that I've had over the past couple weeks has been watching all of the students walk out of school. I've been following this very closely, although our show, you got to understand, our show has been filmed like back in December, January, and so on. The episodes that are airing right now have been filmed months ago. We always film this far in advance this time of year because right now we are quite literally filming commercial projects for customers. We don't have the time to film regular episodes right now, so that's why members right now are seeing, their names not being reflected immediately on things. You'll see it come May once we start. In April we start filming May episodes, so you'll see that reflected there. But I haven't really been able to respond to it too much in a full episode or anything like that because it's such a big topic to cover, and but at the same time it's so heartwarming to watch kids stand up for their own rights. I've watched as students in all of these schools across Florida walked out and said, "We say gay. they created this hashtag of We Say Gay. They walked out with rainbow flags. They showed us that this is who they are. No matter what Ron DeSantis says, no matter what the legislator says about them, they're going to continue to exist. It's given me incredible hope to watch this. Not just the LGBTQ students, which make up 11.7% of the population, 11.7% of the population in these schools, but it's been so inspiring to watch allies of our community, straight cisgender people, walk out right alongside their gay, trans, and so on classmates. That to me is the best part to watch. The sad part in watching those videos is the fact that you start to realize these teenagers, these 10-year-olds even, are smarter than a legislator who we hired, who we pay. They're smarter and much better people who care about others' lives more than an elected politician, an elected official. They care more about people's lives than a governor. It's heartwarming and inspiring, but it's also completely disgusting to realize these kids are smarter than adults. Like, we're looking up to children and we're saying, you're better than that adult across the room. And I'm not saying, these kids aren't inspiring. I'm saying, why is the adult the child in the room? Why is the Ron DeSantis the kid who we need to teach? For my job, there's somebody who made a comment yesterday. I want to get to it really quick because I think they have a point. To be completely frank with you, I think they have a point. I'll read it to you. I get to it. Comments. It was left on this video. So let me just go to that video. I'll read it to you. I've said it on other videos or something like that. Okay. Money's says, I've said it on a different video, but I'm going to say it again. This video can kind of come off as rude and put a bad name on the community for anyone who knows nothing about it, aka any Floridians that see this video. I personally agree with everything you said, and so should everyone, but it comes off really rude and makes people think things bad about the community, especially for people who do think parents always know best. Because in that video I said, parents do not always know what's best for their children, and they don't. A lot of parents out there, it's a good thing that they rely on the government for education. Not in every situation, by the way, but sometimes. This video does not give an explanation as to why anything he says is true and why Ron DeSantis is wrong, making people that don't check your channel think you are just prejudiced. Again, everyone should agree with everything you said, but some people aren't aware of anything, and this video is the first thing they see from the LGBT+. That is a very fair point. I would give that point and say, you know what? You're right. In that video, I said, fuck Ron DeSantis. I said, we say gay. And I really didn't provide an explanation as to how bad this law is and why it's so horrible. And so that's what I wanted to do with this. That's why I came on a stream tonight. Because I agree with you. You don't have the full context in that video. But now you do. This is the full context. This is the words. I mean, literally, I mean, we've read them verbatim. The 7 pages that these people passed, we've read them. This is the full context. And it is horrifying. The reason why we didn't want to read this to you is because I knew. I know somewhere out there, watching right now, there might be one kid out there who hears this and goes, you know what? Maybe I don't want to fight. And I don't want you to feel that way. So I want to take this moment to say, this is not the end of the fight. First off, this still has to be verified as legal. And so you're still going to see Human Rights Campaign, ACLU, Lambda Legal challenging this in court. One of them will, at least. Because that's what they're paid to do. You're still going to see that. But more importantly, you're going to have people find ways around it. There's a whole... let me go back to this screen. There's a whole section, a whole chapter in my book. It's about this. About don't say gay laws. And it talks all about... I'm not like pushing my book or anything like that. I'm saying like in that chapter I present ways where teachers can go around a don't say gay rule and still teach their kids about this anyway. No matter what happens in a school, we're still going to be here because we're not controlled by Ron DeSantis. See, we're controlled by federal laws, but not state laws. A state law in Pennsylvania or in Florida, Pennsylvania where we're broadcasted from, or Florida where we're broadcasting to sometimes, we're not controlled by their laws. You know what? We're not even controlled by American laws, to be fair. Because we're broadcasting in over 50 countries on Earth. And I know it's controversial to talk about this right now, but we're broadcasted in some of the most homophobic countries on Earth. For instance, we're broadcast in United Arab Emirates. A lot of people watch us there. We're broadcasted in Russia. A lot of people watch us there. We're broadcasted in Ukraine. A lot of people watch us. Well, they are currently fighting a war, which is more important than watching PBR, but they're still watching us. We're broadcasted in some of the most homophobic and transphobic countries on Earth. So we're not controlled by Florida law. We're not controlled by Governor Ron DeSantis who says, hey, you can't even mention gay people exist. We're here on a network like YouTube that we can go anywhere. And we have freedom of speech in America. So Governor Ron DeSantis could not sue us. Parents cannot sue us for teaching their students in Florida because we're on an international platform. We still have freedom of speech that protects us federally. If some child out there watched an episode of Powered Rainbows, we didn't control them. We didn't make them click play on the video. So we're covered there. So we're still going to be broadcasting in Florida, very much so. Actually, one of the funnier parts of this is one of the teachers that is nominated for our LGBTQ Friendly Teacher of the Year award is from Florida, Orlando, Florida. So we very much he's one of the top 5 nominees of that award. So, you know, I mean, I don't know how that contest will come out yet, but I mean, it would be cool. But we're still in Florida. We're still going to provide this education no matter what Ron DeSantis says. we're still going to be here to say it's perfectly valid to be transgender. It's perfectly valid to be gay. It's perfect in every way to be either. It's perfectly normal to be bisexual. Perfectly not a sin to be gay, by the way. It's scientifically a scientific law that transgender is valid. Not just a scientific theory or a scientific study, scientific law that trans is completely valid. Trans boys are boys. Trans girls are girls. And we're not controlled by Ron DeSantis. That's the good part. And we'll still be broadcasting to teachers and students all across Florida. Probably more so right now, because they're searching for it a lot. But here's the thing. If you don't want to... If you're a teacher in Florida right now and you don't want to mention the word gay because, of this law, kindly... My boyfriend goes, it is a sin to wear Crocs. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I will grant you that. Crocs are pretty ugly. Anyway. We're still going to be broadcasting there. And so if you want to subtly push one of your students to be a subscriber of ours, by all means do so. Andrew the Avatar became a new member of ours. Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew the Avatar. Thank you. We love new members here. I love being gay. Men are hot. LOL. Yeah, right? Okay, no. Okay, so... No. Where's that? I will say, like, in researching this today and doing all of this, good lord. That came out of nowhere. Alright. There's no episodes on this, is there? I just want to make sure there's no new episodes on our desktop right now for me to show you all. Yes, men are very hot. Especially that one right there. No, that one. No. That one. That man right there. Hottest man alive. Right there. Michael's like, don't show my face on camera. You're adorable, honey. Adorable. You know what? What we're going to do? We're going to show a couple pictures of how cute he is right now. Because I know he's watching. Photos. Don't worry, nothing inappropriate, honey. He's like, oh god, what do you have up your sleeve now? Wait. Michael and I. Here's a good... Yeah, why not? He's really cute. That's our first time we said I love you. He's adorable. And he makes me breakfast all the time. See? Adorable. 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 Wait. You remember that night, honey. The best night of my life. And I remember that small chair. I was like, anyway. So yeah. What do they want? Adorable. Adorable. let's see. Oh, also, you wonder where our idea came from for our new stickers. It came from this in a little city Michael and I visited a while back, but now we have our own version of that. You're right, honey. It is hard finding appropriate pictures of us, but thank God I went back to this camera angle. Because this is live right now. There's no chance to edit it. Let's see. You kissing me. And there's, you being extremely disappointed in the fact that I'm taking a picture of you at breakfast. Yeah, happens quite often. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, as you can probably tell, gay people exist. I don't know if you know that, but we very much do. And we're perfectly normal in every possible way. One thing that really, really bothered me this week, I'll talk about this. Oh yeah. Our cute little bed together. This is adorable. He got a picture blanket for us. Mr. Nutterbutters, Dr. Woofers, and our bed. Let's see. I should just leave this as the thumbnail for the video. Of him being like, no, don't take a picture of me. It's probably like, okay, we can stop with the pictures of me now, right? No, one more. Let's find a really cute one. Gotta love pictures of us. Yeah, well, okay. That's... yeah. So that's us being really cute. He's gonna kill me later. So anyway, it's one of the most disheartening things I've had happen this week. Go back to regular cameras and everything for this. One of the major things that has been on my mind this week is my own family. Weirdly. Because here's what's been happening. So, what? I know I'm dead. I'm going to be sleeping on the couch for a while. Michael, please tell them that I'm going to leave. Anyway. One of my family members, not my immediate family, I should say. Let's make this very vague, all right? So there was this commercial put out. Oh, wow. Okay. So my boyfriend just put red, white, and blue hearts in the comments, and he knows. He knows that makes me angry. Wow. All right. For those who don't know, I was born July 3rd, so I have a lot of my family members who think I love red, white, and blue, and I love July 4th, which is our Independence Day, and we celebrate big time with red, white, and blue everything. So I'm very, very tired of red, white, and blue colors. Plus the fact that most states in America don't have the same rights. And So we're truly not free in this country yet until equal rights are given. So I have a very different, unique perspective on that. Also, he's right. You should just run for office if you really want change. Because what the Republicans, what the Ron DeSantis of the world are not counting on is these young people growing up and running for office. They're not counting on that. They want these old, same Republican, and they want these people to stay in office forever. They're not going to. Young people are eventually going to take over, just like, who is it? Just like Taylor Swift said. It's all about the young getting up and voting, and they're not counting on young votes. They're not counting on young people running for office. So if you do both of those things later in life, we will win this fight for equality. I'm just putting that out there, right? I will say, though, so there was a story of this very transphobic company putting out an entire commercial for a set of razors recently. You may know what I'm talking about, but please don't share the link and please don't share the name. But they put out this transphobic ad, and the very first words out of the guy's mouth is, "We all know there's two genders." No, there's millions of genders. Maybe take a science class, but okay. He goes on and, yeah, please don't mention the name. As I said, 12-pound bluefish, please listen to what I'm saying and don't mention the name. Can someone please delete that for me, because I'm working, if you don't mind, Michael or someone. Very clearly said don't mention the name. So, I will say that once this ad aired, Mike Rowe, who was the host of Dirty Jobs, host of many great shows, said that he would support this. And that he would have this company as an advertiser on his show. But yet in the ad, they talked about how, only men should use razors, and those gay men shouldn't use razors either. They talked about all this. And and Mike Rowe said, yeah, I'll take you on as an advertiser, even though you just condemned all gay people, and even though you just condemned all trans people, I'll still take you on as an advertiser. And so, obviously, all the LGBT people who supported Mike Rowe are like, what the hell? This is coming out of left field all of a sudden, Like, truly, I loved the show Dirty Jobs. I loved Mike Rowe's message that that people should be pushed towards the trades industry a little more. Like, I love that message that college is not the only answer. I love the message that, sometimes kids grow up to be electricians and plumbers and be a part of society in that way. Like, I'm 100% on board with that idea. But Mike Rowe just said he doesn't care about LGBT people. He'll take advertising dollars from this horrible company. And in saying that he supports this commercial, Mike Rowe is saying he supports the message as well. And so it's like, wait, don't gay people have jobs in the trades as well? Don't gay people deserve the same right to be electricians and plumbers and water authority, sewer authority? Don't we have the same right to work in any industry we want? Isn't that what we're constitutionally obliged to have? The same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, whatever that means? Like, what about the gay people, Mike Rowe? What about the trans people, Mike Rowe? And so it really pissed me off. It made me angry that I supported this man for so many years with his TV shows, And I loved his message, and now I can't anymore. Then, one of my family members, who will go unnamed, but she's an older woman in a pretty old woman in our family, said that she supports this ad too, and that there's only 2 genders, and said, I would buy a razor from your company right now, but I'm a woman. And then a bunch of people were like, yeah, you're right. Razors aren't meant for women, because women never use a razor. Okay, so razors can be made for many different people, by the way. But basically, she said, I would support your company for being homophobic and transphobic. And then in another post, the same person from my family said they support the Florida Don't Say Gay bill and doesn't think that kids should be taught that LGBT people exist. And I got livid at this family member. Because you gotta understand, I'm used to dealing with haters online. I'm used to dealing with people that really don't understand where we're coming from until it's explained to them. I'm used to people in the comments going, hey, I have a genuine question for you. I'm used to all that. I'm not used to my own family members. Because, quite literally, you go to dinner with Professor Pride. You go to dinner with someone with this level of LGBTQ education, an expert in my field for over 5 years now. Someone who literally wrote the book on how educators around the world should teach about LGBTQ people. Literally wrote the book on it. And you're sitting across the table from that guy. You go to a party and you invite Professor Pride. You invite his very soon-to-be husband. And yet you still don't understand there's more than 2 genders. And you still don't understand that gay people should exist. Then I get a message from my sister, who is the daughter-in-law of this girl, of this woman. And she says, hey, I know what you're feeling. I got this text message today. She says, well, I understand what you're saying. But Patty's kind of right. Like, you got to understand, Matt, she's fully supportive of who you are. She fully supports you being gay. But I kind of agree with her. We shouldn't sexualize things to a kindergartner. And it breaks my heart. My sister and her mother-in-law are repeating the lines from Tucker Carlson. They're repeating the lines of what Republicans want you to think this bill is. They've never read it. They don't know what I just taught you. And it's extremely heartbreaking to know they have this wealth of knowledge At their fingertips, they can call or text anytime they want. They can say, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't speak on this issue. Maybe we shouldn't say kindergartners shouldn't be sexualized into thinking that sex is... Maybe we shouldn't talk on this until we give a call to my brother or to my daughter-in-law's brother, who's literally Professor Pride, has almost 90,000 subscribers, has 6 million viewers on this topic, and has been spending his entire life working on this. And it breaks my heart, not just that they didn't give me a call, they didn't text, they didn't ask any questions. It breaks my heart that they said, you know what? We don't want this education in kindergarten. Because right now, I have a nephew who's going into kindergarten. He comes to parties. He looks at different outings. He's at dinner with me. And my future husband is sitting right next to me. And what they're saying is that I'm not allowed to tell him that we're gay, that we're normal. Because they don't think this should be taught to kindergartners. And sure, they can say all they want to, that the sexual part shouldn't be taught to kindergartners. But that older woman I was talking about is supporting the full Don't Say Gay bill. Maybe she read it, maybe she didn't, but she supports it anyway. And again, no one, like you're right, Libby, you're right. No one is sexualizing kindergartners. It's a non-issue, but it was said in the law because they wanted to make you feel like it was part of it. They wanted to make you feel like LGBT people like myself, especially like myself as an educator, are trying to push sexual ideas on children. So they put it in the law that let's not teach about this to kids. No one was trying to do that in the first place. But you saying we shouldn't do it makes people like that mother-in-law and my sister think that we're trying to do that. What breaks my heart is the fact that, like, quite literally on my channel, all the time, we try to do it once every 2-3 months or so. We try to do it as much as humanly possible of having courses for all ages. So, for the most part, we're doing courses for people 10 years and over. A lot of our courses are sometimes more advanced for people 18 years or older. But we do try to at least do one course every 2-3 months for kindergartners. Directly for kindergartners, for like 5-year-olds. We try to help explain this to them in a way that is not sexual at all. If you notice, we do if you talk about a straight pride, probably not going to end you in good places here. But quite literally, we have courses to help kindergartners understand how normal it is to be gay. We have one called A Box of Crayons to explain how not everyone is pink or blue. Not everyone is a boy or a girl. There's hundreds of colors in a crayon box, and you can be any color you want. And without all the colors in this crayon box, our world wouldn't be so beautiful. You wouldn't be able to paint a pretty picture with just pink or blue. You have to use all the colors to make a pretty picture. So it's that's one of the courses. Another course is using our stuffed animals that are on the show all the time to teach you that. For instance, we have a couple puppies, stuffed animals. So Dr. Woofers and Coco are boyfriend puppies. Coco is a trans boy, and Dr. Woofers is a cisgender boy puppy. So they both are in love with each other, and it shows you that being trans is completely valid and normal, and it shows you how being gay is completely normal and valid. We also have Reginald Fluffwoofers, who's another boy puppy, who is gay as well. Michael and I bought him at Knoble's Pride Picnic last year, which was really fun. Then he's in a relationship with Mr. Nutterbutters, who's our pet squirrel. Our pet squirrel, who is gay but aromantic. And so Mr. Nutterbutters is aromantic, showing you that being on the aromantic, asexual, and a spectrum is completely valid and normal. So they are in a relationship together as well. Then we have Hooters, I believe. Dr. Hooters, Mr. Hooters is our pet owl. All of these are stuffed animals, by the way. But we have all these animals for the show because we want to show you that being trans is completely valid, and being gay is perfectly valid, being aromantic, completely valid. And so we literally have a couple courses on our YouTube channel here called Crayon Box Lesson, or what was the other one called? A lesson about puppies, or a puppy kindergarten class. These small videos are made for kindergartners to help them understand that there's millions of genders out there, that you don't have to be a boy or a girl, and they're classes to help you understand that, you don't have to love a girl if you're a boy. You don't have to love a boy if you're a girl. They're here to help kindergartners understand this at a very young age. But we have to make that, on the show, we have to make that appropriate to their ages. We can't come in with a huge episode and be like, hey, kindergartners, let's talk about the trans bathroom bill. let's talk about this huge topic of the Don't Say Gay law. We can't come in with an episode for kindergartners about all of these crazy things, like all of the normal episodes we talk about. We can't come in with an episode like that. So we make it age appropriate for kindergartners and say, you know what? Let's get some stuffed animals and let's show you Dr. Woofers and Coco are in a relationship together. And that's perfectly fine. Everyone supports them. For instance, we have another course on our channel, literally called Gay Sexual Education, where we teach you all about gay sex. And we teach you all about using condoms, how to put one on. We teach you all about STDs. We teach you all about aftercare of what you and your partner should be doing after you do things. We teach you all about how to do things, how to prepare to do things, and maybe you want to use certain products before you go on a date with a guy. We literally have a course, a 50-minute masterclass on gay sexual education, but that course is age restricted and not for kindergartners. Like, no one was ever saying we should put that gay sex ed course in kindergarten classes. No one was ever saying that. But yet this law says we have to mandate that doesn't happen. It's like, what? And so here are my family members who are quite literally saying, We shouldn't have sexual education in kindergarten. Okay, but no one wanted that. I didn't want that. I never told you I wanted that. And I would never want that in a million years. But I do want age-appropriate stuff in the hands of kindergartners everywhere. And it kind of bothers me. Because it makes me question whether my sister or this mother-in-law girl, or woman, I should say, if they approve of the way I'm going to parent my children. Because I can tell you right now, like, Michael and I have been speaking about this at length. We are very accepting people. We're going to be very accepting parents. We want to choose a school district that is LGBTQ affirming, definitely. But we definitely, we've been speaking about, like, how we're going to raise our children, and, you know, I don't know if it necessarily aligns with how this older woman feel, you know, and I don't really care, because our generation will be better parents than her. And I think, you know, we discussed it. I mean, she's from an older generation who wasn't taught in science class, wasn't taught biology courses, wasn't taught there's more than two genders, wasn't taught that gay people are normal. And she can say all she wants. She supports gay people, like our cousins, and supports, sorry, her cousins, my sister's cousins by law, and then supports me. They can say all they want. She can say all she wants to. She supports me for being gay. But the weird part for me is, like, you're transphobic because you don't believe there's more than two genders, and you're a little bit homophobic because you don't believe that any education should be given to kids in school at all, not just in K through third grade. So you're a little bit homophobic, and yet you literally have Professor Pride in your family that you can ask any question to at any time. So you can learn all. She has the option right now of learning anything she wants about the LGBTQ community, and she decides to just be transphobic and just be homophobic, and never asked me a question. Never reached out and said, hey, Matt, I'm having a hard time with this. I never learned it in school. Can you teach me? Can you just, like, sit down for a second with me and have a phone call and tell me about this? Like, I would like to be educated. She never said that. She just decides to be transphobic. She never asked, hey, so what is this Don't Say Gay bill? Before I go public with supporting this, what is it? What does it say? Why is everyone saying this is a horrible law that can bankrupt schools across the country or across Florida? Why is everyone saying this? She never asked. She never bothered to care enough to ask. And then my sister jumps on board and says, well, we shouldn't be sexualizing kids anyway. It's like, we're not. But yet those two people, especially the mother-in-law, are more than happy when I show up to parties. More than happy when I bring a present for my nephew, purchased with money that I get from LGBTQ education. More than happy. Because Matt is not being frivolous with his money anymore. Matt is, you know, actually willing to spend some money because, you know, he runs a successful company. And I don't know anymore if she's happy to see me or horrified. Because what she's publicly said is she doesn't want this education in schools, and my full-time job is providing this education to schools and literally writing the book on how it should be done. I'm at a loss with her, especially the support this morning with my sister. I'm at a loss, and I genuinely don't know why they feel this way. But I know for certain they can come ask any question at any time, because they have Professor Pride as their freaking brother, and their brother-in-law. I'm not brother-in-law. What is it called? Like, sister-in-law's brother. Like, I'm a family member. I'm a text away, you know? And just for the, person that came in, it's like, it's not a sin to be gay. It never was. Congratulations on being banned that quickly. Never was a sin to be gay. Look it up. I have videos on the channel that help. But yeah. So my week has been filled with looking at this bill go through the House, the Senate, and the governor now. Looking at the, 238 other bills across the country that are going through right now. By the way, literally, like, as we were talking about this episode, yesterday they announced that Pennsylvania would have a closed boardroom meeting concerning whether or not transgender children should be allowed to compete in sports. A closed room meeting, no public commentary. And they decided what was the vote officially? They decided 15-9, 15-5 decision, with one opposed, with one person abstaining from the vote, but 15 people voted that trans people should not be allowed to compete in sports in Pennsylvania. So that's coming up the chain right now in a closed meeting, no public commentary. They decided they were going to hold this meeting yesterday. They decided they were going to have. They announced they would have the meeting yesterday. Today the meeting happened, and 15 people voted in favor of it. Tell me how that's constitutional. With no public opinion, no public record, no public commentary, and you get to decide the fate of transgender people across the state overnight. How is that constitutional? How is that legal? And it sucks. It's like, that's literally my state, And what's weird for me is like, oh, that was only a committee vote. I'm sorry. Michael's right about that. It was a committee. It still has to go to the House, I believe, next, House of Representatives. But that was a committee vote. My bad. Thank you for correcting me, Michael. As always, love of my life is there being like, hey, Matt, fact check. This is why we have staff. This is why we have Michael. This is why we have 30 crew members to fact check me and make sure I'm 100% accurate in a full episode. When I'm live, it's a little different. Hopefully there's a person on, and thank God I have Michael here. In general, thank God I have Michael in life, because honestly, I wouldn't be able to get through all of this without Michael in my life. So in a normal situation, it's like, I've been dealing with watching these 100 and 200 I've been watching these 200 things, 238 bills across the country. What's the best thing to say to a homophobic person to like roast them? You don't have an IQ more than I can count on my hands, because typically, statistically speaking and factually speaking, anti-LGBTQ people, homophobic and transphobic people are much less educated than the rest of us. So the more accepting you are of LGBT people, the more educated and the smarter you are as a person, just scientifically speaking. Again, that's based on many studies, not just my own word. But yeah, it's one thing to watch all this going on in every state in the nation and 28 states, whatever it is. It's one thing to watch that. It's another thing to go through. And on the normal show, it's like I have a bunch of people asking, so what do we do about it? You know, I have 90,000 people now asking, what do we do to help? How can we stop this? How can we stop the discrimination? How do we make our world more LGBTQ friendly? And my only answer is the same answer Michael gave of, you know, make sure your voice is heard. Walk out of school. Do protests like you've been doing. I've been incredibly proud to see that. Some of my fans have messaged me and said they are part of those protests. I'm hugely grateful for you doing that. Walk out of school, protest like crazy. You have a First Amendment right no matter what state you live in. You have a First Amendment right to peaceful assembly. So walk out and protest. Have an LGBTQ flag. Be an ally. Show your support. Say gay. Like, I've watched this group put up billboards of "We say gay" and trans rights, and it's so wonderful to see this. You know, this movement of people that will not be controlled and kids who will not be told that these homophobic parents and transphobic parents have any control over them. It is fantastic to see this uprising. So keep doing that. And it's just been absolutely wonderful to see this happen. So keep doing that. Keep raising your voices. Join. If you're not old enough to vote or old enough to be a part of be a part of the elections and run for office yourself in your local school board or state, run for office in your school for student council, and do everything you can to support a GSA club in your school. Start a GSA club in your school. Here's the thing. They might want to say all they want to, that we're not allowed to exist in Florida, but we do exist in Florida. We exist everywhere. And by federal law, by United States federal law, no school, public or private, is allowed to deny a gender sexuality alliance club or a gay straight alliance club from starting. You can call it a gay straight alliance club and you can still start, or a gender sexuality alliance club. You can start that in your school tomorrow, and the state has absolutely no say in it. No matter what this law says, in Florida, parts of it are unconstitutional according to the United States Constitution, according to the United States federal law on this. Because under United States federal law, every school has to allow for a GSA club to start, public or private, no matter what, period. So if you want to start a GSA club and talk about these things, you can. If you want to start a chat room online or somewhere else, or you want to get together with LGBT people from your school or elsewhere, no one's stopping you from doing that. They cannot control freedom of speech. They cannot control your right to assembly, because that is promised under the Constitution, under the First Amendment. Just so you're aware. They also can't control what you wear to school. So there's a wonderful episode of ours on, yes, Catholic schools too. That's a private school. So Catholic school, private school, public school, they cannot deny you the ability to start a GSA club. Period. As long as you're in the United States. I don't know about other countries. All I know on this selective topic is about United States law. Because we've asked lawyers. Before we made we have an episode called 43 Tips to Starting a GSA Club in Your School with resources for doing so. That is available for free right now on our YouTube channel. To do that episode, we reached out to countless lawyers to make sure we were 100% accurate on this, and we are. The other one I want to talk about is we have an episode. I was about to say it. Yeah, so we have tons of episodes to help with this. But start a club. Start talking to people. And we also have an episode on understanding your rights, on dress codes, on what you're allowed to say in school as a student. Teachers, by this law, teachers are under this new Don't Say Gay law in Florida, but students are very much not under this law. Students can still say the word gay. Students can still talk about this. That is not covered in this law, because it's not allowed to, first off. And that's why they didn't cover it. But that whole episode is on what you can wear. You can wear rainbows to school all you want to. And if the school says anything about it, you can always be like, hey, so under United States federal law, I'm allowed to wear rainbows to school. And if you say anything further about me not wanting me to do so, it's okay. I'll just contact ACLU or Lambda Legal and see what they think. Oh my God. So, I mean, literally, you can watch that episode and learn all about what you can wear, what you can say, what you can do in school under your rights as a student, no matter if you live in Florida or not. So both those episodes will help you greatly. And hopefully those two help you. But again, we're always here for you. We're always going to support you no matter what. So Ron DeSantis can say whatever he wants. The truth is, we're always going to be here and always be affirming of your gender and your sexual orientation. We're always going to support you. So if you're not getting the support you want or you need in your school, you're not getting the education you need, come here. Come ask questions in the comments. We're always replying to people. We're always trying to reply to almost every single comment we get, even though we have 6 million viewers now. It's difficult times, but there's a reason why we have 30 people responding to comments. So always come here. If you see one of our staff members, all of our 30 staff members have a wrench next to their name, just like Michael Martin does right now. That their name is highlighted in blue with a little wrench next to them. Anyone that's an official staff member of ours is with that same name with the little wrench there. So you're going to see that next to their name responding to your comment, or you're going to see Powered Rainbow's official channel responding to you. Yeah, Disney did not have a good month. Disney is horrible right now. So we talked about this a little bit on TikTok, but yeah, Rebellious Pastry is always awesome. I just want to point that out. That's one of our moderators and his staff members. But so Disney decided it was going to stay silent on this whole Don't Say Gay thing in Florida. And they're like, well, we wanted to stay silent. We thought we can do more behind the scenes. And it's like, well, turns out Disney funded the campaigns for all of the people that voted for the Don't Say Gay bill. And they very much knew how they would vote on this issue. And then Pixar, one of Disney's children companies, one of the companies that Disney owns, called Pixar, came out with a letter, because they're sick and tired of this, and said, so, weird fact of the day, Disney has been for decades now silencing LGBTQ characters in all of Pixar films. So if we did a film for them, we would try to put some LGBTQ representation in that film, and Disney kept suppressing it, kept saying, we're not going to put that in our films. We're not going to put that in our TV show. And so it came out just how disgusting Disney is. And so then a bunch of Disney people, employees, walked out in protest. And Disney was like, oh no, please don't. And Disney Corporation guy is like, so we apologize to the LGBTQ community. And we realize that we hurt you. We realize we didn't say enough here. And blah, blah, blah. Never once in his speech, by the way, or press release, did he mention, by the way, now we're taking all the money we would normally give to these candidates. Never said, we're going to take all that money and donate it to the Trevor Project, or we're going to donate it to the Equality Project in Florida to help LGBT people. Never said they're going to donate money to LGBTQ causes instead of these people, instead of these homophobic legislators. Never said they'll stop supporting these homophobic legislators. Never said any of that. In their statement, they're just like, we're sorry. We wanted to help, but and we, we have some gay characters in some of our things, or people that you can assume are gay. It's like, then Pixar's like, but you told us not to put the gay character in, so. And now Disney's like, but you can go back and put that Buzz Lightyear gay kiss back in the film now. It's like, the fact that you're saying they should go put it back is an issue. The fact that you said to take it out at all is an issue. And then I assure you, come June, Disney is going to be one of the first corporations that are like, hey, we have new Pride merchandise, please buy off of us. And I'm sure some gay people are going to fall for it. But here we are. And that's why I say there's an episode of ours called Pride or Pandering, telling you an exact questionnaire you should be asking of every corporation you give your money to, every company you give your money to. Every time someone says, please buy my merchandise for Pride Month or anything else, you should be asking these questions. Newsflash, we passed this test with flying colors. There's 8 questions, and we answer 8 of them correctly, by the way. Just want to say that. So our new Pride merchandise, perfect transition. Best transition of the night. But yes, boycott Disney. And also something that was very much not highlighted by them is there's this, I love how Disney was like, we're not against gay people in our films. After all, we have this short film on our Disney Plus platform. There's this, Disney has their own premium membership video streaming platform. And on that Disney Plus platform, they have this short film called Out. O-U-T. It's about being out of the closet as LGBT, right? So on this platform, they literally, can you take care of that, Michael, of Jacob, right underneath your I Love Stitch? But they literally said, They're like, so we have this short film called Out on our Disney Plus network. Then they quite literally just waited. They let people look this film up on their own. They pointed to it. They're the ones that said, hey, look, we have this short film called Out. Go look it up, right? We're not homophobic. We have this short film, obviously. Thank you, Michael. And then people looked it up. And so what you'll find is if you look up the film Out, if you search for the film Out on Disney Plus, you'll find it on there as the first search result. Great. But if you go on a channel, Dragon Tamer 84 says, thank you so much, Power Rainbow staff. Thank you so much, Professor Pride. Y'all have helped further my LGBT plus education so much. I appreciate it. Well, hearts to you as well. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so incredibly much for your donation. It goes towards helping our LGBTQ education every single week here. So thank you to no end for that. And thank you for just existing in this world and being here and wanting to be here to learn. That's all we've ever wanted, is for people to learn about the community and not discriminate. So thank you for being here. That's the thing, like, so, but you know how you can have like multiple accounts on Netflix or Disney Plus or any of these platforms, right? You're gonna have like, oh, this is my account, this is my my husband's account for Michael, and then this is like an account we have for our kids to watch stuff, because I don't want my kids watching the really gory horror films, you know. I don't want them watching that yet, maybe. So I'll create an account for my kids. Well, if you log into Disney Plus under a child's account, you no longer have Out short film. You can search for it. You can look everywhere on the platform. The short film Out, which is very PG, by the way, like literally the most general audience thing you can ever imagine, that gay people exist, right? And how normal it is to be gay. Literally, the short film cannot be found on a child's account on Disney Plus. So even though they're telling you, hey, we're not homophobic, we made this short film, go check it out. Obviously we're not homophobic. It's like, then people did, and then they asked, why is my child not allowed to watch a short film cartoon that you guys made? Oh, that's right, you're homophobic still. So congratulations, Disney. You just pointed people to the exact problem that you're creating. Like, there's a reason I don't have a Disney Plus membership. Neither does Michael. There's a reason. Okay? And it's this. Secondly, their films are kind of messed up and kind of stupid. But I don't like them. Besides Stitch. Stitch is kind of cool. I will give my my boyfriend slash very, very soon to be fiance, Michael, a pass on that one. Stitch is very cool. But yeah. Wait, are you guys engaged? Not yet. I mean, yeah. I mean, soon, probably. We've talked about marriage a lot. Like, this week we talked about what would happen if either of us died. That was a weird conversation. But one we have to have as a couple, you know, because we're getting a little bit older and it's time to start talking about that kind of stuff. So it's good. Well, it's good to know that if I pass away one day, that Michael will take over this channel right away, or it's going to be donated to an LGBTQ charity that will continue the work we do. So that's a really good thing to know now. And that needed to be talked about a little bit, you know? Because we built a lot here, and I don't want that to go away, you know? Propose right now and get it. He's not here in person. I can't propose to him, but I have told him that we talked about, like, what if Pennsylvania proposes a bill that says, like, we can't be married or something like that. Michael and I are going to the courthouse the same day, and we're getting married. We were doing something right next to the courthouse where we live. The studio, my office right now and my studio are about an hour away from where Michael lives, and where I live with him, because we're sort of moved in together. June 1st, we officially moved in together, but we live in the same room right now in his apartment. But no, I mean, like, it's horrible being about an hour away from where he lives. But I will say with that, him and I, where was I going with that? Oh, him and I, we were working somewhere right next to the courthouse the other day, driving by. And I told him multiple times, every time we passed the courthouse, I'm like, let's just go in and get married today, you know? Like, I would marry you right now. Right now. In a heartbeat. Because, I mean, you want me to bring up the pictures again? Because he's really cute. I will show you. I will show you how cute he is. But as cute as he is, it is not the best part about him. He is the most intelligent man who will challenge me when I need to be challenged and question things, but also speak to me like an adult. He will carry on the most intelligent conversation you'll ever have, and he's very nice about it. He's the most romantic guy, and he's going to be an all-star husband and father someday. And so, yeah, I would marry him tomorrow. If either of us were to, I think we're gonna propose at the same time. I think that's gonna happen, just out of coincidence. Because have you noticed with a lot of gay couples, propose and then, like, so one boyfriend will, like, propose to the other, and then all of a sudden that boyfriend runs off and gets the ring and being like, I was going to propose to you in like 10 minutes, you just got to it first. A lot of gay couples are like this. A lot of lesbian couples are like this. Like, look up clips on YouTube. We have a couple on our channel of, like, it's almost every gay proposal or lesbian proposal is like, one proposes to the other one's like, I was going to do this in like 10 minutes. Here's my ring, And it's so heartwarming to see it. It's like, you both really wanted this relationship. But then there's, like, straight proposals, and they're just like, no, the man has to propose to the woman, and the woman's all surprised. But yeah. Yeah. It's a little weird seeing a straight couple getting proposed and being like, well, only one of you really wants this. And then here Michael and I are like, oh, we're the cutest ever. We both want it. But yeah, we're gonna adopt one day, probably. So we're gonna get an apartment together. As of June 1st, we signed a contract for the next year over that. Then we're buying a house, getting a couple dogs, a Yorkie and a chocolate Labrador, and then we're gonna probably adopt a kid and get married and all that kind of good stuff. But we want to be married before we have a kid, so because we want to give a stable home to the kid. But yeah, we've already discussed, like, how I wish there was a way to deliver an electric shock before I ban somebody. Yeah. Or if I get off the rails, Michael probably wishes he had a shock collar on his puppy right now. Because that way when I get off the rails and I start talking about, like, how cute he is, he can be like... By the way, Michael and I have a level of love above love of like he owns me 100%. So I'm his puppy. But I think that we've already discussed it, Michael. Like, we're gonna raise our kid where they're gonna be accepted no matter what, and hopefully, if we adopt, oh my god, he literally buzzed me onto my phone. Michael, what am I gonna do with you? I'm gonna kiss the crap out of you as soon as I see you. I'm not seeing him again until like Saturday. It's sad. But no, I love being owned too. It's an amazing feeling. To know that I was a lost dog for many, many years, and now to know that I'm owned entirely, it's very, very nice. Stop buzzing me. Anyway, so yeah, we've already discussed like how we'll parent our children, and hopefully we can raise them in a loving environment, and we're definitely going to be accepting, because I mean, all they have to do is like look at my show and what I do for a living and being like, yeah, so my one dad teaches people how normal and perfectly valid it is to be trans and gay and bisexual and everything and pansexual, and then my other dad helps him do it. So I'm definitely gonna be okay coming out to them, you know. So I hope we are in that position with our children. Also, we probably would name them something, if they're young enough, we're gonna name them something that's gender neutral, that they can be any gender they want to be, and that way they don't have one more hurdle to overcome later. Also, I should probably talk about that Rebellious, because we've actually decided to do something very different than our Pride event this year. So the Pride event idea is not so happening anymore. But no, we're gonna do a video for our 100,000 subscriber special now. So that's gonna include some cool stuff. We'll be releasing the details on that very, very shortly. Hopefully, I'm talking with Michael and I'm talking with a couple other producers and the executive team right now to see exactly what we're gonna be doing to make sure of everything. But yeah, we're working on that. I literally, like, I'm in the office in the studio this week filming some other stuff for a commercial client, and then I go back home on Saturday, because I consider his house my home now. More like his heart my home. But anyway, that's besides the point. That's getting very, very gushy and romantic. Anyway, so I will leave it there tonight. Hopefully this helps you understand more about the LGBT community. Hopefully it helps you understand more about the laws that are actually out there, the bills that are actually out there. It does push the algorithm does push our videos more during Pride Month, because more people are searching for it. So you'll see us go from one episode every Friday until the end of May. All of a sudden, we're going to do 3 episodes a week in June. So fun little things are going to happen in June. So it's going to be fun. And, also, the book is not out yet. The book, this is a draft copy right now. So we went through it. My co-editors and I went through it, and Michael refused to read it. No, Michael just didn't have time. He's working really hard. But we went through it, and we made a lot of notes of changes and things being made just to make it more understanding, and to like punctuation kind of stuff. I sometimes do too many commas in my sentences, so that kind of stuff is all ironed out now. So now it goes back to the publisher, and hopefully we can have it out for May or June. I'm hoping. You'll see it. Michael's like, I was dying. Okay, you got sick, and you're still sick. I understand that, which is why he's not here today. But I hope he's out there getting better. So everyone have well wishes for Michael. Because he got, I got a cold last week, and he got a cold this week. Wonder how that happened. But yeah, it seems anytime I get a cold, about a week later, he'll get it. So yeah, literally the book's coming out soon-ish. But right now we don't have any official word from the publisher on an exact date. I know soon. No exact date yet. Sorry. But, and as always, we love what you're doing. All of our... I do have exact dates on other stuff. It will be on Amazon, bookshelves, Barnes & Noble, everywhere. It may not be in the bookshelves of your local Barnes & Noble, but it'll be available on the websites. And I know it's going to be available on Amazon. That's the best place to get it. But yeah, we'll have that. Also, we might be able to do signed copies. I'm not 100%. I haven't talked with them yet over it. But these people annoy me. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. He knows me so well that he's like, I got you. But yeah. As of May 1st, these will be going on sale on our store, LGBTQ Safe Zone. Stickers or new t-shirts will be going on sale May 1st. Nuts for Power Rainbows, Mr. Nutter Butters merch is already available on the merchandise store. At that link right there. Yeah, a bunch of stuff is going to be for sale as of May 1st through the entire Pride season. So we're really excited about that. I'm super excited to show it all off. I'm getting copies of it all right now. So that also we have PBR Experience coming soon. So all of the Pride events we're going to be at this year, we're having our own Powered by Rainbows booth where you get to experience what it's like being on camera. And you get to actually be on camera in front of all of our subscribers. So it's going to be really exciting. And we're really excited for this this new chapter of the show for 100,000 subscribers this year. So very much stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't already. Anything else? Oh yeah, have a gay day, everyone. And bye for now. Love you all. Pride Flag Dragons. There's new bisexual stuff coming out too. Yeah. I want to talk about it, but I can't because it's a proprietary design that we did, but it's very, very secretive right now because it's still in the process of being trademarked right now. So I can't talk about it, but there's an amazing bisexual design coming very shortly. That's all I'm gonna say. You'll like it. You don't have to show your face rebellious. Good night, everyone. Love you.